Hi, I'm Dan Fazio with GI Jobs, and today I'm talking with Gabriela Castillo, an Army medic who is now a pre-med student at the University of Georgia. Gabriela is one of 32 student veterans from across the country who were selected for the 2023 Student Veteran Leadership Awards. Welcome, Gabriela, and congratulations.
Thank you so much, Mr. Fazio. It's an honor to be here. Thank you.
Well, Gabriela was also chosen to represent the Student Veteran Leadership Awards cohort on the August issue of GI Jobs. She's on the cover. Have you ever been on a magazine cover before?
I cannot say that I have. No.
Well, that's fantastic. Congratulations on that as well. We'll be sure to get you a few copies to share with your family.
Great.
So we asked Gabriela to share her story with us today. And so we'll just take from the beginning. Where did you grow up?
Great. Yes, I am actually local to Georgia. I grew up in Gainesville.
Okay. And when you were a kid, did you know what you wanted to be when you grew up?
I did not. Or maybe I did. I don't know. I went through a bunch of phases. I think vet was one of them at some point. But
A
now
vet or veterinarian?
Oh, veterinarian. Yeah,
Because you are a
that's
vet.
kind of vet. Army was not on the list.
Yeah. Well, why the Army? I mean, why not the Coast Guard?
Well, I'm gonna be honest. Truthfully, it was the recruiters. And looking back at the recruiters that came to my high school, it turned out that the Marine recruiters were the ones that convinced me to join the military, but I guess I went to the wrong office. I don't know.
Armies gain, Marines lost, right? Yeah. So why the Army? I mean, you said that wasn't on your list of things to be when you grew up. Why did you decide to enlist, and when did you enlist?
Yeah, so I enlisted right out of high school. One of the things that really pushed me in that direction was I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. Or just, as a high school student, I feel like being 18 and not really having a path for yourself is pretty normal, and it's okay not to know. But just how I was raised, it's not okay not to do anything and just, crash and burn. So what I ended up doing was joining the Army because they had the medic position open. So after speaking with the recruiters, knowing that I wanted to go in the medical field, I thought that medic would be a great introduction into that. So little did I know I would end up getting to work with medical professionals across all specialties. From PAs, doctors, surgeons, physical therapists. I got to work with all of them, and it really opened my eyes to what's out there. So, and it worked out in the end.
Yeah. So what were some of your duty stations?
Yes. So I got stationed initially at Fort Campbell. From there, I went to go work in the United States Military Hospital, Kuwait. I worked as a ER tech there. That was really cool. Being in that setting, getting to actually, start working with patients. And that was really, really cool for a lot of different reasons. And then I got stationed in Hawaii, which is enjoyable when it was enjoyable. And when I was working, it wasn't. So I got to work over there. I did a rotation in Indonesia for a month. That was really interesting, getting to work with different countries and different soldiers. Getting to work with the TNI was really neat. And their medical team as well. That was really cool. But yeah, that about sums up where I've been.
Yeah. Well, at some point along the way, you obviously decided you wanted to be a doctor. Tell us about that transition in your future career path.
Yeah, I knew long term that being a medic was not the end point. I always saw it more as a stepping stone. The decision of actually staying in the military versus not staying in the military and being a PA or doctor was what I was juggling at the time. Ultimately, it came down to, a couple of my injuries. I was in an infantry battalion, my last duty station, and that absolutely took its toll on my body. Me and my husband's an infantryman as well, and we both had to have a long, hard talk about hey, is the Army going to be long term for us? And we ultimately decided hey, for the sake of our physical health, I really think that we need to start looking at other options. So we did. We started looking at other options, and we decided, hey, PA, PA physician, that's where I was going to land. What ultimately determined PA versus doctor was volunteering at a clinic that I got to do through the Career Skills program.
Yeah. So tell us about your exit plan. I mean, you made that decision, not going to make the Army a career, but how did you map out the next steps, and how did you pick, for example, the University of Georgia?
Yeah. So knowing that the end goal was PA doctor, I knew that I needed to put myself in the best position to apply to those kinds of schools, to graduate schools. So I had been going to I jumped around a lot, actually. Going to small community colleges and slowly stepping up. And I just applied to the University of Georgia. I knew it was a good school. Like I just knew that about it. But I didn't really know and truly understand like how much it was going to be beneficial for me long term until I actually got here. The University of Georgia has so many resources for veterans themselves to like help us out, like with scholarships and like with building a community for us. They do a really great job at like organizing events for us, and like I actually found a mentor for myself, and she doesn't know it, but but she's actually she's my best friend, but she doesn't know it, but she is actually somebody that I met through these events, and now I look up to her because she's a year ahead of me in my path, and she's the one who's giving me her like class notes and is like, hey, take this, professor. So it was just really beneficial for me in those ways. I honestly wouldn't change a thing. UJ has been really good to me.
Yeah. Wow. That's great. So tell us, you mentioned, you alluded to the SkillBridge program. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yes.
When did you, that was the last, 6 months of your active duty service?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was really fortunate. Oh, sorry. Were you going to say something?
No, okay.
Okay. Yeah, I was really fortunate. I had a really supportive command team. Me and my husband looked at that, leaving whenever we signed our contract, our last contract. That's when we were kind of like, are we going to stay long term or are we not? We decided that was going to be our last contract. So we really started planning like before we signed our last contract. And so I just heard of programs where like the Army Skills Bridge program, the Career Skills program, I didn't know about at the time, but once I started doing my SFL TAP, like my transition program, I learned more about these resources that the Army offers, and I said, oh my goodness, absolutely, I want to take advantage of these resources that they're offering to transitioning soldiers. So I got in contact. Step one was getting in contact with my TAP office, getting started with the transitioning briefs. I found the Career Skills program coordinator. I reached out to her. I made some appointments. I learned, through those appointments, I learned that the Career Skills program is not defined by the Skills Bridge program. There's another like unit that you can build your own program in. And so, working with my counselor, I was able to find a clinic that would take me. I found the director that would sign the paperwork and basically pull me into his clinic to intern there for the last 6 months of my contract. So it really worked out. I had a really supportive command team. They were willing to do anything they could to push the paperwork and help me out. And it was really great. The reason why I chose that clinic versus a Skills Bridge program is because the Skills Bridge programs are pre-approved and they're definite programs. There weren't a lot of medical programs, like, just interning as a paramedic or as a medic or, as an ER tech. Those programs didn't really exist. So that's why I turned to building my own. And yeah, like I am really grateful for it. It really worked out. Like I couldn't have asked for anything better. And it really exposed me to different kinds of medicine that I wasn't really used to just because I hadn't worked in those positions in different clinics. So I absolutely got like a whole new like view of another kind of medicine, which was really interesting. So
Yeah. So what did you do there? What was your role?
Yeah, I worked there, or I interned there as a medical assistant. They let me work there as a medical assistant. I did some translating as well. My Spanish isn't the best, but most of our patients are really understanding and really willing to work with me through that. So I got to do that.
Right. So tell us about your transition onto campus. You never gone to college. I mean, you had gone to college before, but not on a big campus full time. What was that like? What was the your biggest challenge in adjusting to campus life?
Yeah, I prior I had been taking night classes on post or online classes after work, but never had I been a true full-time student. And it was challenging for sure. Just because I feel like it's a larger university and it's a little bit more competitive to get in. I definitely understood why the class the class difficulty definitely increased for me. That was one of the things that I personally struggled with, was going from like self-taught courses to like in person taking your tests. Like it was really hard for me. Um, Luckily, I had an advisor who was just in there in my corner trying to help me in every way they could. They actually recommended that I go to the academic coach that we have here. And so through the academic coaching, I was able to receive just a plethora of resources of like how to study and like how to take like test taking skills, things that I didn't know. I was unaware that I didn't know how to study or have I didn't have effective study skills. Those weren't things that I had developed. So the resources here, see, I can just full circle here. The University of Georgia has so many resources for everybody, not just veterans, but to really help the students out. And I'm just so grateful for it.
Yeah. So about the veterans, what kind of resources have they offered you as a veteran? How has that helped you? I mean, we hear over and over that reaching out and being able to connect with other veterans on campus can be really, really important.
Yeah, I would personally say that the Student Veteran Resource Center itself, just like they have a hub, period. Like they have like an office dedicated for student veterans. If they have any questions, that is our first stop. Like, hey, how do I do X, Y, and Z? During orientation, they give you a fire hose of information, and it's really hard to retain a lot of it. But we're lucky enough to have just a whole office just dedicated to like helping us find the things that we need to find that we need help with. So that's one of the things I was really grateful for. In terms of like financial, I am a commuter. I am married, have a husband. Like, I don't live on campus because my husband and I go to two different schools for two different things. So I had to commute. And they knew this. I also was on scholarship through the Georgia Hope Scholarship. And it didn't cover all of my tuition. So not only was I a commuter, I was also paying out of pocket for school. So the Student Veteran Resource Center, our director makes it a point to go out of his way to learn about us, to meet us, to learn about us, to like make sure that we have what we need to thrive as students. He learned my situation. He was like, hey, let me connect you with these scholarships that I know that you qualify for. And so through that, I was able to he connected me with people that I was able to use the Lockheed Martin STEM Scholarship, the Parent Leadership Council Scholarship, and the UGA Foundation Scholarship. So with all of that combined, I was able to cover all. I've paid zero out of pocket for tuition, ultimately due to those scholarships. So that
Wow.
was really helpful. I really appreciated that.
Yeah, I would imagine. So you're not using the post 9/11 GI Bill?
No, I'm not. I am, medical school is my end goal. So I knew that, planning backwards, like if I was going to take student loans, it wasn't going to be for medical school, it was going to be for my undergrad. So I elected to save my GI Bill for my medical school. I was just using the scholarships that they gave me and Hope Scholarship to help pay for it. Mhm.
Yeah. Wow. Well, congratulations on the scholarship. That has to be a huge, huge help.
Oh yeah, it's been amazing. They go out of their way to make sure that our needs are met. They
Yeah.
find ways.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your plans for the future, your path forward. For example, where do you see yourself in 10 years? What's your dream position? If you could wave a
Uh,
magic wand.
what was that? Sorry.
If you could wave a magic wand, what would your dream position be?
Oh goodness. Well, um, so med school, of course, upon graduation, and this is like a life goal I have, working at that clinic, the nonprofit clinic, really opened my eyes to a demographic that is in need and how that clinic is filling that need by providing medical, dental, pharmaceutical, mental health resources to a demographic that otherwise wouldn't be able to pay for it. Even with the current system that we have, like charity care is a thing and it's helpful. But there are a lot of times that even with the discounted care, even with the discounted medications, there's still somewhat of a burden. This clinic solved that problem for 2,000, I think it's around 2,000 or more patients that are low income. So seeing that model, seeing the impact that it has on that community really was just really affected me, and it really changed everything that I was on path to do. It made it definitive that yes, I'm going to be a doctor. Yes, I'm going to open a clinic one day. So long-term goal is to open a clinic, a nonprofit clinic, serve low-income patients that can't afford or that can't afford regular care otherwise. That's the goal.
Wow. Well, that's impressive. How do such clinics get funded, just out of curiosity?
Oh yeah, donations. The
Donation.
generous donors.
Okay.
Mhm.
So it doesn't sound like you're following the path to riches.
If it works out, it works out, but it's not the
Yeah.
goal.
Yeah.
The financial goal has always been, can I go grocery shopping and not care about how much I spend? That's it. That's my financial goal. I'm there. Like,
Well,
I've made it if I hit that.
good for you. That's admirable. So, in terms of advice for other student veterans or other service members who may be getting out and pursuing a post-military education, what would get a top tip or two that you wish you knew when you were getting ready to matriculate? What would that be?
Well, it would be find your student veteran resource center. Step one, find them. Step two, see what they offer. See what kind of resources they have that they offer students. If not, find a mentor. I know that they have, or student ambassadors, what they call them here. Find a student ambassador. Their job is to help you transition into being a full-time student, even if it's not like, even if you don't have a veteran like center at your school, find someone who knows like things that you can like reach out to whenever you need help. Second thing that I would give advice about is to look into what you're eligible for in terms of benefits. I know my mentor, actually, she's a disabled veteran. She qualifies for the vocational rehab, and she's going to school full time, getting her bachelor's degree, and it's all getting paid for through vocational rehab, the Chapter 31. She's not using her GI Bill either. So, and it doesn't touch those benefits. So definitely look up what you're eligible for whenever you get out.
Wow, that's great advice. That's so important.
Mhm.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to add that we haven't covered?
No, that's it. That's all I got today.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Gabriela, for your time today. Congratulations again for being a Student Veteran Leadership Award honoree and for appearing on the cover of GI Jobs magazine. Look soon for it on base or on your phone, anywhere.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Bye.